I would like to ask to Nikita what he thinks about the composition for guitar, because we know very well that we can consider Nikita our Shostakovich, the Shostakovich of the guitar, because the compositions are really very intellectual, full of meanings, and really we can call really compositions. But we miss this kind of composition, I think, in the guitar world. So my question to Nikita is what he thinks about this world of so many guitar composers. Now, what it means for Nikita to be a guitar composer.
Well, when I started composing, at the same time I was playing guitar, and guitar, of course, was my beloved instrument. But also, you have to understand, it was Soviet Union times, and we were taught to think about the situation in the country and the problems of culture and all the other global things for the country. So I was fond of music, and of course the most interesting thing for me was the Soviet music, Soviet composers. Shostakovich, Prokofiev and many others. And I must say they were great masters. It was wonderful music. And the only hole in this wonderful picture was the guitar music, because guitar was in a very poor state. And somehow this made my choice. I decided that, well, I was quite modest. I thought that I would not do that alone, of course, but I have to try to close this hole with the music which will be same level as the music of the other Soviet composers. For me, this was the orientation and this was the example. So, and I decided to devote my creative work entirely to the guitar, only to the guitar. Voice and guitar, recently I did a cycle for voice and guitar, but always with the guitar, because that was the weakest point of the Soviet Union, of Soviet music. And that was the idea. And also, you know, for Soviet music, that was very important to put the meaning in the music. And even I once was talking with a composer who was older, and I showed him some of my works, and he said some very good things about my work, and he inspired me to go on with that. And he said that the most important thing is what you want to say. And if you don't want to say anything, or if you have nothing to say, then don't compose. So if you compose music, that means that you have a lot what to say to the audience. And unfortunately nowadays, you know, that's also the problem of times. But nowadays we have so many composers, guitar composers, who are doing music which really says nothing and changes nothing. You know, when I listened to the 15th Symphony of Shostakovich, you know, after this, I was on the premiere. It was such an important moment. I was very young, but I was so impressed. And then I thought, how I was living without this music. Now I know it, and my life became more rich. How it was possible to live not knowing that. And this was for me the main idea, to say something what people will understand and remember. We have now a lot of guitarists, and a lot of very good guitarists, but they are not any more great like those few, yes? Because we have whole big army of guitarists who play very good, but something is missing, like, you know, this quantity of talent was dissolved between these many persons. So it was no one who was getting a lot. They all of them got something. And same with the composers. Many composers, they do this music and it's the same effect. You know, I always trying to find something what I will be really impressed with. And through the last years, really I didn't find any guitar piece which was for me great impression.
So, Nikita, you think that the music express the society, the life we are living now, so without any interest for the values, for the culture? That's maybe what you want to say. It's a problem of the society or the economical the situation.
No, not only. Not only, of course. I think music can express everything. You know, for instance, we can say that there are quite a lot of pieces which were composed against the war and this kind of conflict.
Yes, yes.
But, you know, I would say that the most anti-war piece is Suite by Bach. And it says nothing about war. But this is the piece which makes us better. Yes? And in this case, I think music can express just everything. Everything what is necessary. But it should have this idea which you can feel. You know, one also Soviet composer, Rodion Shidrin, great master, you know, he said that if you would be able to say everything by words, music won't be necessary. Music says something what you cannot say by words. It says something more complicated, more deep, more coming to inside your soul.
It's true. Yes. And so what do you think about the future of the guitar? You see that the guitar has a future as a solo instrument, or the chamber music for guitar is really important for the development of this instrument?
You know, I was always very optimistic about guitar future, and you know, in the 70s when I started, guitar was really the very post, especially in Soviet Union, it was never respected. It was considered to be a, you know, second or third class instrument for the street, singing like that. And then you play Bach on the guitar, and people were so surprised, is it possible? And now everybody knows that. So guitar very fast passed unbelievable development, which made guitar really one of the most beautiful instruments and academic instruments. And now we know that. So that means that guitar can go on making this progress. Plus, as I said, now we have many very good players. So the technical development was also unbelievable. I think there is no other instrument which made such a great jump. So in this case, I think that the future of the guitar is also, of course, solo guitar will stay forever. And nowadays, I can see that more and more people are interested in musicians, are interested in chamber combinations with the guitar. What is also very good, you know, we can remember what Mauro Giuliani was doing, using guitar instead of piano, for like piano quintet, but with the guitar instead of piano. Piano trio, but guitar instead of piano, guitar, violin, cello. So we have this tradition, so we can go on doing what he was doing. And you know, Giuliani is one of my favorite composers from classical times.
I know. So, Nikita, now last question. if you have to suggest something to a guitar composer, because now it's really poor, this situation. Everybody is calling himself guitar composer, but really to be composer is really difficult, it's not for everybody. So what do you suggest to a musician that would like to be a composer for guitar?
Well, you know, if guitar is a quite difficult instrument because it is among few musical instruments which can carry whole texture. You know, like piano, which can place everything, melody, middle voices, bass, all the texture, whole symphony you can play on the piano. We can say that similar instrument, but of course with a lot of limitations, is harp. Yes? And guitar, as Berlioz said, orchestra in the pocket, it's also the instrument which can place whole texture. So, but guitar is not easy instrument. So when you write for the guitar, it's better if you know how to play it. And that of course helps a lot. But to the composer, guitar composer, I can recommend you have to take whole music, not only guitar music, whole music, and think about being not a guitar composer, but composer. Because what does it mean, guitar composer? Composer which cannot write for violin. You know, this is absurd. So always take the whole world of music, and in which guitar is just part of it. And then you will understand how to write to the guitar, because it should be music. You know, we have a lot of transcriptions for guitar, and there are few transcriptions from guitar to another instrument. There were some in the old times, you know, Czerny did Third Concerto by Giuliani, or I know in England was transcribed this Reveria by Regondi, yeah, for piano. So there are few examples, but I think that this tells us that music is music. It doesn't matter which instrument it is written for. Yeah, if it's beautiful on any other instrument. So to make it like that, I think composers have understood the whole world of music, not guitar. Then it will be such a narrow way of thinking that will put a lot of limitations in your creative work. And Shostakovich said once that, you know, I have no system, he said. Everything is possible. I can use whatever I want. This is freedom of the composer. And that's a great words for, I think, a recommendation for a composer. Never limit yourself. Just be a composer.
Thank you very much, Nikita. Thank you for visiting our festival, because it was really for us, for guitar is really important, and you will see that the orchestra was reborn with Nikita, with his music. So we can say that you have a lot to say with the guitar, with the composition.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.